Good morning, church. It is Wednesday of Holy Week, and things are starting to heat up, both here in my backyard and in Jerusalem on the week of Holy Week. We see early in the day, Jesus is in Bethany. He's actually stayed there today, but in Israel, in Jerusalem, the high priests, the elders, the teachers of the law have gathered at Caiaphas's house. He is the head priest, the high priest, and he is, along with them, conspiring to trap Jesus. They're trying to figure this out. How do we do this, but do it in such a way that the people respect us, right? They're still fearful of man. It's one of the reasons that they were so angry at Jesus, is because he had usurped their thought authority. And so they're trying to figure out how to get him. While that is happening, Mary, Lazarus' sister, has taken a very expensive bottle of perfume. We're told worth a year's wages. And she breaks that open, anoints Jesus' head, his feet. We know that she takes her hair then and wipes Jesus' feet. Of course, at this point, Judas is beside himself. He's thinking, that was a year's wages. Like, how much money could I have pocketed for myself if she had allowed us to sell that? Jesus says, hey, she has done this out of love. She has actually anointed me for death. Interesting. He already and continues to point to his death, point to the sacrifice that he is going to be giving in just a few short days, and yet they still miss it. In fact, Judas misses it all together, and he's trying to figure out a way to force Jesus into becoming that king, becoming that Messiah that they're all looking for. And so even in his greed, even in the midst of knowing all that Jesus has done, all the miracles and all the teachings that he has sat under for 3 years, he's still trying to do things on his own. Interestingly enough, that goes all the way back to the garden, does it not? Where the lie is that God is holding out on us, and if we force his hand, he will do what we want him to do. Not much different here with Judas. And so he thinks, well, maybe if I can hand him over kind of on my terms, then it'll force Jesus to rise up, right? We know that he can do miracles. We know that he can bring the dead to life. So surely he can, if he's captured, if he's arrested, surely he can deal with that. And I think that was part of it. I think part of it too was that Judas wanted the power and position that he thought was coming with Jesus having an earthly kingdom here. And so we see a contrast between two people. Mary, who's willing to basically anoint Jesus' head with oil with probably her marriage dowry, something very expensive, willingly gives that, sacrifices that to Christ, knowing that what he's about to do, because she believes what he has said. And then Judas, who's still trying to force the point. The religious leaders who are still trying to get their own way. And ultimately, they think that they do. Jesus is arrested, and we know that he ultimately is crucified, and they think that they've won. But in reality, God's been using them for his own purposes. Unfortunately, if you woke up this morning and looked at the news, you see that the daily deaths reached a high point yesterday here in the United States, and that's a sad thing. We pray for all of those families and the loss that they feel, being isolated for the most part from their family members. But we know that God is good, and we know that despite what seemingly is the earth burning down, God is still in control. He loved us. He died for us, and he's proved that for us. So rest in that today. we love you and pray that you enjoy this Wednesday of Holy Week.